Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now recently Wuben have released a new flashlight, the L3, and they asked if I'd like to have a look at it. And of course, with this being torch season, flashlight season, wherever it is you are in the world, the nights are starting to draw in, so it's useful to be able to have a light with you. This is a larger light, but still perfectly well suited for everyday carry. So let's turn the camera around and take a closer look. Now, quick look around the box. It's fairly typical of what you'd expect from Wuben. So on the front here, you can see there's the light. It's got a maximum output on its turbo mode of 3000 lumens. A little bit of information here on the side about the different kind of run times. The maximum throw on this is 220 meters, maximum candela 12,800. It's also IP68, so as far as your dust and water rating is concerned, 6 being its dust rating and 8 being its water rating. Both of those are the highest standards that you can get for consumer electronics. And if you're worried about durability, you can drop this from up to about a meter onto the floor and it should be able to sustain that fall. Now bring this in close here, so if you do want to pause this, now we are going to go over this information here, but if you did want to pause this, here's a little bit more information about the different lumen levels. Now what's included inside the box, you get the light, you get a lanyard, there is the battery in here, there is an additional O gasket just in case you need to, replace it, although I really had to replace one in the past. I think that's everything. No, you also get a USB Type-C cable. Now it does charge via USB Type-C. Now as we usually do, we'll go into measurements, we'll go into the kind of the build and the features on here. Now as far as the measurements are concerned, it comes in at 138 millimeters, and it's just over an inch wide in the actual barrel here, so it comes in at 29 millimeters. Now that in old money, so that's 1.14 inches at its widest point. So hopefully you'll see here it does in the barrel, the shaft here, it does kind of pinch down a little bit. That might even be close to an inch, but its widest point here at the head and this bit here, and then down on the tail switch, it's 1.14 inches, and it's just less than 5.5 inches in length. It's it's 5.4 inches in length. Now it's made from a hard anodized aluminium. The weight on this, without the battery, they only give the kind of the weight without the battery. So it comes, actually no, they do give it with a battery, I forgot. So without the battery, it's 104 grams. With the battery, it's 176 grams. Now the battery itself, so you unscrew the tail end, coming into here, and there you have the battery. So it is a 4,800 milliamp hour 21700 battery. These aren't proprietary batteries. I've tried a couple of other similar batteries in here, and they all work perfectly. There's again certainly no sort of issues with proprietary batteries with this. As far as the charging is concerned, just kind of put that tail end. Now when you look at it from the outside here, you can see there's a little battery icon here which shows where the battery is, because you need to take the tail end to take that out. But other than that, you can't see, although you might be able to see something here with open and closed, and that is because this has a hidden Type-C charging port here on the side. As mentioned, this is a USB Type-C. I've tried the charging cable that comes with this, which as you'd expect would work, and I've tried 6 other charging cables and they all work with this perfectly. Now that's not because there are proprietary charging cables, but that's sometimes the gap that you need to be able to put the charging cable into. You always end up with like a bit of plastic around that. Sometimes they don't seat very well, but this one seats in there perfectly, no issues. This small LED here on the side, so when you have this on, you'll be able to see it on there. But there are different LEDs, because I've been using this quite a bit recently, but I know now it's roughly at 40%. So you have a blue light, you have a blue flashing light, you have a red constant light, and then you have a red flashing light, and each of those will tell you whether it's 90%, less than 90%, kind of 40 to 15%, and so on and so forth. Put it this way, if you see that it's flashing red, then you probably need to charge it. Now at the moment it's not flashing red, but I know I should probably charge this soon. Charging on it's very simple. You plug it in and it's charged within, I don't know, an hour or so, no issues whatsoever. Now looking into the business end there, hopefully you'll be able to see that there is just a single LED unit in there, and as far as the reflector within there, I wouldn't say it's a reasonably deep reflector, but then the maximum throw in this is 226 meters. It's not a massive thrower, but it is a flat reflector in there, so you get a reasonably nice warm spot, and it does kind of throw it a little bit. Whereas with an orange peel reflector, then you get more of a diffused bit, but we will see that when we have a look at it in the dark. Now, as far as how it's all used by a single button here on the end. For all intents and purposes, click for on, click for off, and it just works. Now when it is on, so if I do a click for on, now you might hear it. So if I bring this close to the microphone, hopefully you hear it goes tick. So it is a dual stage on the button on here. So if I put it on now, if I then do a half press, this will then cycle through the different modes. Now the way that the UI works on this, a lot of UIs, what it'll do is it will go say moonlight, low, medium, high, and then cycle back round to moonlight, low, medium and high. How this one works is it goes all the way up, so we're now on high, and then if I press this again, it will work all its way back down. So moonlight mode at the moment, this is 5 lumens, low is 150 lumens, medium is 500 lumens, and high is 1500 lumens. Now if I press this again, rather than going back down, so I know this is kind of messing with the white balance there, but rather than going back down and starting again on its moonlight mode, it'll now go to medium, then it'll go to low, and then it'll go to the moonlight mode. Now there isn't a short press for moonlight mode, unfortunately, with this, which is a bit of a shame, but it does have a memory. So if I turn this back on again, it will go back onto moonlight. Let's put this on to its medium mode. If I turn it back off again, I know I talk about this quite a lot, but generally we've all got one mode that we use. We don't generally, most people tend to kind of flick around between the different modes. But now turning this back on again, it's now back on to its medium mode. Now there is a turbo mode on here, which is 3000 lumens. Now to do the 3000 lumens, when it's on, if I now do a half press on here on the tail, this will now put it on to its turbo mode, which is the full 3000 lumens. When I let go, it will put it back on to whatever function that it was on below or on before that. So let's put this on to its low mode. I do a long press and it's now onto its turbo. I take my thumb off there and it's now onto onto the low mode, which is the one that it was on before. Now there is a strobe mode on here. You've got a strobe mode and you've got a beacon mode. So if you want to put it on the strobe mode while it's on, if you do a double press, that will put it onto the strobe mode for you. Whereas if you want to have it on so that it's on SOS, you do a triple press and that will put it onto SOS mode for you. Now you just have to be careful with those double and triple presses. It's not difficult to do, but I think it would have been better maybe if they did a double press and then maybe there was a long press maybe that you could change to the SOS mode, but certainly not difficult. And you can also get onto there if it is that it's not turned on. You can do that double press and it'll put it onto SOS mode as well. Okay, cool. Now let's fast forward. Let's take this down to the pond and let's see how this works in the dark. Well, the sun is officially down. We're down at the fishing pond as usual. We'll go through the different settings in the dark. Now the first one, on its lowest setting, this is its moonlight mode. Now a lot of moonlights will tend to be something just like 1 lumen, maybe half a lumen. With this one it's 5 lumens, so you do get a little bit more. Not particularly dark tonight, although yeah, unseasonably dark, not dark I mean, so you might not see as much of this, but 5 lumens in a dark room that's pitch black is a lot more light than you'd usually expect for a low mode. As I mentioned, with the UI on this, it's slightly different to others. Rather than circling back round, which we'll have a look at when we kind of get to the extremes, but I can do a half press with this, which will take it up onto the low mode,
and on the low mode it's 150 lumens. So I think for 150 lumens on a low mode, it's great. I talk a lot about low modes and moonlight modes, but generally low modes do really well, and I think 150 lumens like this, being able to see the ground here. Now we're back where we usually are, so there's that tree that we often look at, which is about, say, 10 meters away. It's easy enough to see. Hopefully you should be able to pick this up on the camera, but you can easily see 10-15 meters, probably even further than that. And as I mentioned, it's a reasonably light night tonight. If it were darker, you'd probably be able to see quite a bit more. But that's its low mode. You can then do another half press, which will take it up to its medium mode. So coming back around to here, the medium mode on this is 500 lumens. And I'm going to hold this out in front of me, as I often do, so you can see that there is a hot spot in the middle there. 45 degrees to the left and back, 45 degrees to the right and back. You can see that it does have quite a defined spill on there. So that's the medium mode. You can then press that again, which will now take it up to its high mode, which does jump up quite considerably. So this has gone up from 500 lumens to 1500 lumens. So pumping out a good amount of light. We're coming back to here, so there's that tree that we could just see before, but now onto the opposite side of the pond, and even the little island that's there in the middle. You can see quite the way across. Now, as I mentioned, with the UI on this, if I now half press that button again, it then cycles in reverse order. So a lot of lights would go moon, low, medium, high, back round to moon, low, medium and high. With this one, it's moon, low, medium, high, low, and then medium, low, moon, moon, low, medium, high, medium, low, moon. So it circles round that back in that order. But it does have that memory on here. So if I turn this off and turn it back on again, it will remember which one it's on. And the vast majority of the time, when you'll generally have a mode that you prefer, and you just use that one anyway. And now there is a turbo on here, so you can get to the turbo off any of the settings. So in fact, let's put this on to low. All you have to do is, whilst it's on, is to do a half press and just kind of hold it there, and that will engage the turbo mode, which is 3000 lumens. I just took my finger off it there for a second. In fact, let's put that back on, and then there is a 3000 lumens actually. So it's now got warm enough that it doesn't want to keep it on that 3000 lumens. So I'll just put it back on again, and it will put it back onto whatever mode that it was on before. So as far as a timer is concerned, it's less of a timer like you get with some lights where it'll stay on turbo for a certain period. With this one, it really does depend on the temperature. So let's put this back on again. So we're now on turbo. Now it's still reasonably, it's not too warm, but it is still warm. So you can see it shuts itself off. But then you can click it again and you can put that back on. Yeah, so there you go. Now, as I mentioned, I've probably said this a few times, it's just getting used to that UI, and it's not particularly difficult to pick up. The fact that when it cycles, it just cycles back round, it goes up and then it goes down, and yeah, you can cycle with that. Oh.
So there you have it, the Wuben L3. Very typical of what you'd expect from Wuben. Great build quality, very durable. The UI is slightly different. Now there's a certain UI that a lot of companies use, and it's very familiar to everybody. This strays from that ever so slightly. However, it's not rocket science. No, it's not particularly difficult to learn. And in fact, once you've had this a day or two and you've just been sitting and playing with it, the muscle memory, you'll just remember how to use this. It's not a particularly difficult UI to use. But yes, another dependable light with instant access to turbo, strobe, all kind of the good stuff if you need it, if you're in a pinch and should need it. But all the other time, you know, you're going to be out in the woods, walking the dog in the street at night, whatever it is, keep this in the glove box of your truck, you know, it's a good light that will fit in plenty of different situations and also still fit in your pocket. I know I keep mentioning things where it's not in your pocket, but it will still perfectly fit in your pocket and is definitely still EDCable. Now, as I mentioned in the footnotes at the beginning of this piece of content, this was sent to me from Wuben, so I do want to say a huge thank you to Wuben for sending this to me. Of course, I'll leave their links below so that you can see more from the L3. I'll also leave some of my social media links here on Moorlander EDC and my sister channel, Moorlander Tactical. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. Can pocket carry this. I know I said it's a large light. It's not a large light compared to some lights that are out there. Let's start that again. For pocket carry, but I think it's quite flexible, or at least, no, it's not flexible. It's not flexible at all, you idiot. Now, I'm definitely not sure what, again, like most weekends, I'm out, I'm filming several pieces of content today. Really not sure what day this is coming out, but whatever day that it is, I hope you're all having a good week, and yeah. See you soon.